Well, good morning. It's January 24th. It's Friday. I got you. Epidemic Sound Instrumental. Our royalty-free music accompaniment. So this Friday, January 24th, 19. We have, I guess it's 19 days of our new presidency, and he's all over the place, signing executive orders like crazy, getting things done. He knows what he has to do. He knows how to do it. The art of the deal guy. Well, the Senate is going to vote on the Hegseth nomination. The Democrats have been throwing stuff at him. You know, they actually can't dig up any new stuff. It's the same old stuff, you know, packaged in cellophane or whatever. You know, they repackage it. But Lisa Murkowski and Susan Collins, the Democrats, the Republicans will lose those two votes. Since we have a 53 we have three vote margin, and of course I didn't realize this, but apparently our vice president, who is president of the Senate, he can vote to break a tie. Hopefully we don't need to do that, but our vice president will be handy, near, if not near the Senate chambers, maybe in the cloakroom, chatting with somebody. These guys are always talking about something. Let's see. Oh, there he is. Yeah, I'm here. So they're making preparations. Here's Hegseth. The Senate will vote on Hegseth, confirming him late today. So that would be the early morning hours, maybe of Saturday. We're gonna go this way. There's a little more on Pete Hegseth. The cloture vote was 51-49. So we would assume that everyone that voted to cloture would vote for, the candidate, confirming Pete Hegseth as Secretary of the Armed Forces, SecDev. It's an important position. Yeah. Seventh in line to the presidency. I can tell you exactly how many. Sixth in line. There he is. Sixth in line to the President of the United States. Heaven forbid we have to eat into that line. Marco Rubio has been confirmed, so he is Secretary of State. And he's on his way to Panama. So he's going down there. He is fluent in Spanish. So he'll speak in English and Spanish, probably. So he'll give some speeches down there. And, according to Trump, they're taking it back. So, Secretary of State is making that clear. There's surely a U.S. embassy in Panama. It's it's actually a nice place to retire. A good friend of mine told me that's if you agree to put one of your Social Security checks, a direct deposit in one of the Panamanian banks, then you get basically a forever visa to be in Panama. Traditionally, excuse me. Traditionally, when they stamp your passport with a visa, you're supposed to communicate with your local office of the Secretary of the State and tell them your desire. I'd like to visit Panama, vacation in Panama for two or 3 weeks. So they'll issue you, if you go into any U.S. embassy, I guess I would imagine they have one in Miami. You get a 30-day visa. Stamp your passport, one of the empty pages, and of course, at the end of the 30-day period, they could come after you. And they put you in the Hooskow. You should go to the embassy in the country that you're in if you desire to stay longer, and extend your visa. Give them a good reason, and that's likely the case. Otherwise, they say, Mr. Wilson, you need to make immediate arrangements to leave the country. And you call your airline and you get out of there. Or they put you in jail. And, their jails, other country jails, may not have the pleasure, the comforts of a USA jail. Like, they generally have open concrete holes in their structures. You want to call that a window. That way the air can blow through and get out the smells of people that are smelly. However, if you agree, we're in Panama now, if you agree to have one of your Social Security checks auto-deposited into one of the Panamanian banks, then you will have, a forever visa. Yep. Anyway, this display I have right here is the list of all the 18 cabinet. These are all the 18 all the 18 cabinet positions. Only we're down to number 4. Marco Rubio has been confirmed. The Treasury Secretary, Pete Hegseth is next to be voted on. And then you get down to Penn Bionde. Doug Burgum should be relatively easy. And as you go down the list, you got number 12, Health and Human Services, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. How amazing is that? A Democrat in the cabinet. Housing and Urban Development, Scott Turner. Just looking at some of these people, which I don't looking for that Republican House of Representative person that left purpose, resigned from the House of Representatives to join the Trump team. I don't see her on this list. Maybe she took a position that doesn't require confirmation. Yeah. I recognize number 18 on the list, Kristi Noem, Homeland Security. That's a big one, actually. It was created last, so it's on the bottom of the list. But that should be higher on the list. Anyway, Attorney General Pam Bondi. So, this right here, the RTX 5090, has the fans. Apparently it uses a lot of electricity. There are the outputs. This is a board that slips in, a traditional, tower, computer in the tower configuration. So you can plug in 6 or 8 boards like this. This gives you all kinds of additional capabilities. Let's see if I have a list of those capabilities. Here's one without the names, in case we want to hold a quiz. The Honda Prologue continues its meteoric rise in the ranks of electric vehicle sales. And it now trails only 2 Tesla Titans in the American market. So, the Honda Prologue is an all-electric SUV. It is termed a surprise hit. Honda sold a record 6,823 of them last year. And it's only behind the Model Y and the Model 3. They're tops. There it is, right there. I'll tell you, Toyota is they build fine products. Well, President Trump sits for the first interview with Sean Hannity. Airs on his show. He may have cut that interview in half so that tonight's broadcast may have the other half. Either that or it's all in Thursday night's show last night. I saw some of it. You know, a lot of the conversation was covering topics that which he felt very comfortable in the answers to, which will Trump threaten to withhold aid for California's wildfires if he doesn't change certain policies? He's not going to hand him the money. He's not going to hand him any money without getting him to agree to something that ordinarily he wouldn't agree to. So, I don't know. I didn't see any headline news about that. So this is a reminder that the Supreme Court may have to clarify further what's meant by the 14th Amendment. Now, I have a copy of the U.S. Constitution right here, and I referred to it several times. And I have it bookmarked. Here's the 14th Amendment. And, when you read it, I've read it 3 or 4 times, or 4 or 5 times. So apparently there's a couple of words which you can wordsmith, to further define what our forefathers meant. So that's the fine parts you know, you get a bunch of smart guys, and there's only 6 words in the whole dialogue of, you know, the 14th Amendment, Section 1, and apparently with the legal schmiegel, and all the time that amendment's hanging around out there. So we're going to hear further about that, but it'll probably be up to the Supreme Court to set down in stone, as they say. You know, when you have the amendment, and then you have some legal actions, and it raises up to the level of the Supreme Court, and then they render a decision, you know, and they write it up exactly, you know, as it's meant to be. You know, then in the future, for someone to open up anything that they would hope would get to the Supreme Court, it's harder to get to the Supreme Court, you know, if they've already looked at the issue and rendered an opinion. And so when you get a Supreme Court clarification of what's meant by a single paragraph, you know, dealing with this, if someone who crosses our border, let's say she's pregnant, and then she delivers a baby onto the USA soil, so to speak, that offspring is deemed a U.S. citizen. But that doesn't make her, when you read the paragraph, it doesn't make the mother a citizen, nor in the reading of this paragraph does it account for whether she's a legal immigrant or an illegal immigrant. You know, you would think. I mean, most other countries would say if you're illegal, you don't have any rights. You know, the 14th Amendment or any of these constitutional issues aren't to your benefit. So, because you're not a legal person. Therefore, everybody, you know, any offspring that you had in the USA, you and your offspring are ordered to leave the country because you're not legal. You got to come around the front door and make application through your embassy. We give permission. I would say we give visas. You know, you come into the country, you come into the USA, you come into Germany, you come into any, you know, civilized country. When you leave your country of origin and come into the United States, you do that with a visa. The USA provides a visa. It's usually, you know, 30, 60, or 90 days. Unless you ask for and have a reason to have more than 30 days, you might get a 60 or 90 day visa. automatically it's pretty much 30 days. And after 30 days, you're expected to leave the country. You can go anywhere you want, but you need to leave the country in 30 days, or 20 days, or 14 days, however long it takes to consummate your vacation or business, whatever you're doing here. Yep. So, seems like every day or two, Trump is signing executive orders for things that can be done without the need to run it through Congress. And there are some apparently enormously consequential executive orders. Enormously consequential. Consequential, that word all by itself kind of means enormously. But to have enormously consequential, now it's almost like a double adjective. Yeah. And wouldn't you like to know which one that is? It'll be a quiz. Office of Personnel Management, also known as OPM. Federal employees are told by the OPM to name colleagues who work in DEI roles. And so you gotta turn over everybody that's a DEI person, or else you're in trouble. Yeah. Well, I had some Chinese food yesterday. It was lo mein. It was the leftovers from the evening before. So I had 2 days of eating beef lo mein, which is the recommended lo mein. The gravy is outstanding. I could eat that every other day, I swear. Trump orders all federal DEI employees placed on paid leave starting Wednesday. That's a couple of days ago. There's a memo issued to all department heads and agencies. Sets a deadline no later than 5 p.m. Eastern Time Wednesday to inform their employees that they will be paid administrative leave as the agencies prepare to close all DEI-related offices and programs, and to remove all websites and social media accounts for such offices. And it also asks for all federal agencies to submit a written plan by January 31st for dismissing all such employees. Donald J. Trump signed an executive order Monday ending racial and wasteful diversity, equality, and inclusion programs in all federal agencies. With all DEI offices and programs to be shut down. Seems like nothing is Left to the imagination on that. So Trump is getting ready to hop on a well-serviced helicopter, and Melania Trump is sticking right with her man as he walks up and down the part of the galley that's roped off on the White House grounds. I don't know which lawn with this. I think the north lawn. Is not where that helicopter is. It's some other lawn. And Melania Trump is walking by Donald Trump as they proceed to the helicopter. And Trump is just getting ready to salute the gentlemen that are guarding the front entrance to the helicopter. Oh, very orderly. So he's going to visit the disaster zones in North Carolina and California, and look at the areas and see where, where FEMA is. Under Biden, FEMA wasn't very visible after that disastrous flooding hurricane stuff that went up through North Carolina. Well, that part of the state is a very red part of the state, and there are people that were ordered to not help those that had Trump signs in front of their property. Can you imagine? Nope. You're for Trump, so we're not going to give you that life support that you expected. So, I mean, what you talking about politicizing, even disaster relief, people. Jeez. My watch has just become fully charged while I'm sitting here. I have a fast charging one of these little doodads. It has a this magnetic doodad. Has circuitry in there. It allows for faster than average charging times. So if you have the ones that have a shiny chrome surface, which of course they used to hand out when you bought certain things like iPads or whatever. No, not iPads. Watches. But when you have one of the ones that's not shiny, it has a dull surface all the way around, which you probably can't see with the cameras that far away. On this surface, you would probably, because this would be bright and shiny, almost like a mirror, and the camera lens would have picked that up. But you can see this has a dull surface. Anyway, it's a fast charger. With a 6-foot cord, I believe it costs $29. Probably cost the company $5, $4 to produce. Yeah. If you just look at the cost of goods sold, as opposed to the retail, and Apple pockets the difference as profit, gross profits. So, Trump's envoy is under a deadline to end the war on Ukraine. So there is a definite movement towards the Kremlin, right? To end it. And, you know, when you add it all up, we've lost, not we didn't have any armed service people fighting the Russians. We were just giving Ukraine support and weapons support and cash support to buy weapons and other food supplies locally to feed, you know, the army made up of Ukrainians. You know, according to Trump, you know, both countries have lost a whole generation of men. Yeah, it's terrible. They're just killing each other in open fields. And the body count is like 400,000 or 500,000 per side. You know, that's 1 million. Young men are dead in the Ukrainian war. Fortunately, American troops were not part of that. We offered all kinds of support, you know, largely money and weapons. You add it all up, it's, you know, hundreds of billions. Several hundred billion. And burned through a lot of our weapons. And of course, now the USA is rebuilding the supply of weapons. You know, presumably adding enhancements that have been engineered into, you know, the new issues of the same weapons. Kind of like a software upgrade, but you know, it could be a hardware upgrade, or both. You know. Making the missile fly faster with more capable warheads on the ends of those weapons. Yeah. There you can see Elon Musk, you know, raising his hands, you know, in excitement for his victory, and he put his hand on his heart and then reached out to the crowd as to throw his heartfelt feelings to the crowd, because they went and voted and put Donald Trump over over the line and made Pennsylvania, a state that supported Trump as one of the swing states. Elon Musk spent, like 6 or 7 weeks in Pennsylvania, oftentimes by himself or absent Trump, anyway. And, he would draw quite a crowd. Elon Musk is, he's got quite a name and reputation of creating incredible products, which I happen to be driving one of them. It is a Tesla Model Y. It is an unbelievable vehicle. And it's a simple design. It's not complicated. Anybody, who watches, an expanded viewing of the internals of the Model Y. I mean, you had basically 4 wheels, 4, remote-controlled brakes, friction brakes, and of course the wheels are connected to a motor in the front and a motor in the wheel and the rear. So you've got front motor and a rear motor. Well, those motors, when you're not energizing the motor, the circuits in the system take that momentum when you lift up on the pedal, the accelerator pedal. So if you lift your foot up from that pedal, the motors then become generators. And the circuits are engineered so that energy then gets pumped back into the batteries. Whenever you lift up your foot off the accelerator. Now, if you lift it up so you're coasting, at 60 miles an hour, then there's no regenerative braking. And the motor, in theory, would continue to energize acceleration. So the motors would run under the influence of the battery and controlled by your foot, meaning if you depress the accelerator further, then the car would speed up until it reaches another, equally balanced position. Yep. So, and the same thing with the rear motor. If you have a rear motor only, well, that's fine. There still is regenerative braking. It just only gets applied to 2 of the wheels. So instead of, there being an extra set of wheels to supply braking to the vehicle, it seems like, the Model S and X were originally delivered, engineered, built, and delivered as a regenerative braking only with the rear wheels, which makes sense because the front wheels are not connected to a motor. They're just freewheeling it, if you will. But if you have a 4-wheel drive, then you have a motor in the front, like a 170 horsepower motor in the front, and like a 205 horsepower motor in the rear, some odd number like that. Add them together, what do you got? 200 units between front and back, roughly. Rounding up or down. So you got wheels, now you got the magic of the regenerative braking. There is magic there, and it's engineered with high power control electronics, for switching the power that's put into the motor from the battery to regenerative braking with the same motor. So all the momentum or fractional parts of the momentum that you can apply so that it puts energy back from the braking into the battery. We did early tests when we were driving the Tesla, the first car. We're on our second one. So we started driving Teslas 5 years ago. And we're in our 5th year. Yeah, we got a second one. Yeah. And, under lease. Which is, which is a good way to, we did extensive studies on this over and over again with people that owned cars, bought new cars, so forth. And we figured out the regenerative braking. How much influence is that on the battery when it comes down to miles driven? And the regenerative braking effect that we experienced with the first car was around 13%. So if you had a 100 kilowatt battery, the vehicle was performing as if it had 113 kilowatts of battery, adding that 13% factor. It doesn't work that way because every time you lift your foot up, and you feel the braking effect of the regenerative braking, which is like in reverse. So the circuitry doesn't make it so that if you push down on the accelerator even further, that you would have more of the same effect. No. The system is simpler than that. You lift your foot up and it will slow down the car right through to where you have hat hair. If you have your hat on. And in theory, if you were not feeling the effects of the like you might feel if you were, back on the pavement in the driveway in Ukraine, demonstrating the effect of throwing needles and such on the tree. We'll figure out how all that comes out, and then of course we'll make reports of it for tomorrow or Monday's edition of of this notorious broadcast, where we have three people running the show: me, myself, and I. And one of them is assigned to the production. The other is assigned to the floor, keeping the channel safe and secure from the outside. Me, myself. And then you have I. And I is me. I'm the talent, in quotes. Yep. Me, myself, and I. The talent, you know, the guy in the control room, you know, putting his hands on, oh, look at that, full screen mode. Yep. And you put that one in full screen mode. Yep. So when I move it, you can see it on your screen. Yep. Press that little button right there. It adds me to the screen. So we have this over on the left, and Jimmy is over on the right. Yes, sirree, Bob. I'm on the right side of almost any subject, including this broadcast. I have a little bit of a righty preference on there. Yep. We got TikTok, so that's on one of the front burners. To see how we can resolve that issue with the ownership. That's probably going to be one of those, you know, art of the deal with President Trump. Yeah, because that's going to require the president dealing with the Chinese ownership. So they want to, you know, share in a, you know, multi-billion-dollar situation in the United States. It's currently banned, but it can be reactivated. If you agree, for some compensation, to disconnect the folks in China from receiving data from TikTok. So, you know, they had a free ride up until Trump's election, and the ride is no longer free. You're going to have to, you shall receive no more information about the USA people that have joined that platform. Yes, that's right. You have to figure out the right vocabulary words, or else you lose part of the more parochial elements of our, yeah. So this is Netflix now. I'm moving on to another platform, and this is one that shows, you know, high definition. I have a limiter you can check up on the top, you know, what kind of channels you want to watch, and you can, you know, set it up by subject categories, you know. So we have it basically open to all of the above, except only those that are going to deliver a, you know, 4K video arrangement, which is the support down in the bottom tier here, the premium. You got the standard, with ads, and the standard without ads, which is basically 1080p. It's the traditional high definition typical HD. So if you're in that middle category right there, where it says standard ads, standard without ads, that's the middle one. The one above it is standard with ads. So this gives you the standard with ads, gives you 1080p full HD support. You can watch it on 2 separate devices simultaneously. You can download on 2 supported devices at any time, and you have the option of adding 1 extra member who doesn't live with you that can use your login. You know, that's part of the standard without ads. And then we page up here to the premium. There you go, premium. You get unlimited ad-free movies, TV shows, mobile games, so forth. You can watch on 4 separate devices simultaneously. You're going to be watching in 4K, which is the Ultra HD, HDR. You can download on 6 supported devices simultaneously. You have the option to add 2 extra members who don't live with you into your Netflix system, you know, where they can have their own passwords and so forth, and use Netflix, which I'm going to tell our 2 people here, and our 2 sons that live in South Florida. They're going to have 2 extra members. So I'm assuming both our sons use Netflix. And anyway, so that'll save them, you know, $17. This middle one here is, let's see, do I know how much that costs? There we go. See in the bottom of this page. There you go. The standard with advertising is $8 a month. They've just revised the pricing plans. The standard without ads is $10 more a month at $17.99, and the premium, which is what we are have subscribed to, is now $24.99 a month. So that's this premium. There we go. The premium issue, unlimited ad-free movies, TV shows, and mobile games. Watch on 4 supported devices at a time. Watch in 4K, Ultra HD. You can download on 6 supported devices simultaneously. You have the option of adding 2 extra members that don't live with you. So I have 3 sons that don't live with me and a daughter. So I would go to Lee, Robin, and Brennan. So Brennan doesn't have or use Netflix. Then I would give the second extra member to Lee, and give it to Daniel and Lee. I have a feeling that Brennan down here does use Netflix, and I could either give it to, I could give it to the the network that they're using in their apartment. They only live a half a mile away from here. So I should make that known, at the end of this, during the end of this month, so that they can use my login and turn off their Netflix, because they'd be ponied with ours. They don't have a premium setup with two subscribers. We only have one subscriber per household. At least that's how I have it set up. So you either have the password or you don't. It's my email address plus a password. It's an 11-character password, as I remember. So that's what, this is like effective today. Yeah, it's all price increases. There they are. Netflix's latest price increase. Yeah. That would affect the 3 pricing models that they've decided on. That is like effective starting today. So, they have their network in place, so they say, as of today, when your billing thing comes up, you're going to get hit with $24.99 unless you drop out or change the plan. You can change your plan before the billing cycle and get charged the other price, depending on what plan you're willing to live with. To me, I'll tell you something. If you have the plan here with no ads, it makes a huge difference when you have ads and when you don't. Because you have about 15 minutes worth of ads per hour. So if you're watching an hour and a half movie, you're going to see 30 minutes worth of ads spread out, at 3 or 4 minutes at a time. So it seems like every 5 or 10 minutes they're interrupting the movie, they go on to the ads, and then they get back into the movie. And that's how that works. So that can get tiring. So now it's, now we have a judge that has blocked Trump's executive order on birthright citizenship. So Trump has made a definition that's consistent with the writing in the 14th Amendment. A slightly different interpretation of those words. So now the Supreme Court will have to get their nose in on it. So the Supreme Court's going to be busy having to deal with everyone that's complaining. The very left wing on the Democratic Party, so I guess Trump's position is he'd rather have the order in place and not have it in place. And let's see what the Supreme Court decides. There is once in a generation, as EarthCam has a camera right, in the main drag in, New Orleans. We've walked right down that sidewalk a number of times. You visit the Speakeasy New Orleans. It's a great place to visit for 4 days or so. And then it's nice to go home. A lot of these apartments, along this row here, they have padlocks on the front door. It's unbelievable. Because the walls, as they go vertically up, make it so you can basically kick the door in if you have the basic lock in the turn knob instead of a separate lock. And if you have a second lock, the type that throws a little bolt over into the side of the wall, the walls and such don't line up, so that the only way to really secure that door is to have one of these fold-over steel things where you got a padlock, and you snap the padlock closed, and that's how you get in your front door. That's pretty bad. It's just, you got old crinkety buildings, so it makes you think twice before you have anything valuable in your apartment, because the walls and the construction of the building is pretty rickety-tickety. So people that live in those apartments, they got their clothing and other valuables, but not jewels, not jewelry. That stuff would get all swept up. Here we go. Trump is overhauling FEMA. Whoever's in charge of FEMA. I forget which agency controls FEMA. There's not a separate agency for FEMA. Let's look at the list. See if we can figure it out. Here's the list. It's Health and Human Services, Housing and Urban Development, one of those two. Could be Homeland Security. So my guess is number 12, number 13, or number 18. Housing, Health and Human Services, Housing and Urban Development, or Homeland Security. One of those three would handle FEMA. Someone consistent with, or familiar with the U.S. Constitution and the amendments, would know that immediately. It's It's not the top 6 people. It's not the top 7 people. I don't think the Attorney General deals with that either. So it's items 8 through 18 that have FEMA. And my guess is 11, 12, or 18. One of those 3. So we'll have to wait and see. One of these newsy broadcasts will make reference to FEMA and whose agency watches over FEMA. These agencies have, departments, like the FEMA department. So, let me look at that list again. It may very well be number 18. Christy Nome. So when everybody starts picking apart FEMA, Christy Nome who would be the former governor of South Dakota, I believe. Yeah. A staunch Trump supporter. Looking through all these pictures that I'm moving up and down, which are not very big on your screen. Give me hints on what to talk about. So I'm going backwards in time, looking for what next. What's this? Pete is the one that's under more. It looks like he's probably going to get confirmed because I think he's only lost the 2 ladies, which I mentioned earlier. It's amazing. 10 years ago, 10 years ago, yeah. He had marital problems. And of course, when people have marital, they separate, which just means they live in separate places. And then they start socializing, outside the marriage, because the marriage hasn't ended yet, legally, until your divorce settles, and that takes a month worth of deciding about assets. In your earlier days, you don't have that many assets. When you get older, you have more assets. And then, of course, you have to write them all down on a yellow pad, and you take this, and I take this, and just go down the list and try to, have it that conversation as civil as possible, or one person just, does it themselves and let them argue about it in the pre-court conference, which they have set aside for such proceedings, so that you don't waste the court's time, and everybody that's in the court don't waste all their time while you guys are battling out on who gets, the big screen TV in the family room. That has to be worked out in advance, which is why they give you a pre-court conference. And the lawyers and the principals sit in that room and they battle it out as they go through the assets. And once you get that figured out in the pre-court conference, then you go on into court and finalize the divorce. That's my simplistic way of talking about that. Yeah. Former FEMA administrator is discussing the FEMA overhaul. Get rid of the people that aren't running it properly. FEMA certainly hasn't done a good job in North Carolina. They have not devoted enough assets for that wipeout, of certain villages and houses that were up in the mountains, as opposed to who's in, Asheville, or some major city along the way, some of which has been flooded totally, and some of it is not flooded, depending on the elevation. When you get a certain amount of rain that throws so much water, into the mountains, the water basically goes downhill, as they say, so when the water seeps down the mountain, and the soils get totally saturated, water seeks its own level. So if you have an already saturated mountain and then it keeps raining for more days, then you have, flooding and an overflow of water as it goes down the valley, as it's seeking its path to the lowest possible level it can get to, Anyway, this guy, hopefully when he gets in there, he runs it properly. But, the Secretary of Defense has a lot of help. There's, tens of thousands of people. Once you get the woke people out, fire those generals, and when you start eliminating people, or they resign because they know they're on the hit list anyway, those people, word gets around that, you got new rules. So if you don't like it, you can get out. You've served 20 years, so I'd rather keep serving, but I can't stand it anymore. So you retire, get your pension or whatever it is and do something else. All right, I've gone through a lot of these previous. Which way am I going? I guess I want to go this way. Let's get to today. Yeah. Today is Friday, and a lot has been accomplished. The new administration is working its way through all these federal agencies, redefining roles, and people are getting out of the way. We've got all kinds of assets. We've got empty office buildings, that we should sell or lease instead of just have. I think one of the reports I read, it was 30,000 office buildings that the U.S. government owns that are vacant. I mean, that's almost unbelievable. But, no one has corrected that number. And you have an adversarial press. So, somebody must have done some investigation on those properties to make sure someone didn't insert an extra zero. Is it 3,000? To me, the more reasonable number is 3,000. But if it's 30,000, it is what it is. But they need to shut them down, and they're keeping them. The theory being it's cheaper to keep it, than to build a new office building in today's prices. So the cost of keeping it open or keeping it secure and clean is cheaper than building a new one as you grow into it. Yeah, well, that's a fairly easy analysis to make. You need 30,000 buildings, really? You need 5,000 buildings. Divide that over all your cities. That's 100 per city. 100 buildings per city. That still seems like too many. It should be an order of magnitude less than 30,000. It's 3,000, 2,500. So you got 500 per city. Per state, I should say, per state. And then you got 5 major cities in a state. That gives you 20 buildings per city. Jeez. 20 buildings, and you got 3,000 markets. That's 6,000 buildings. But 30,000 is 5 times that. That's too many. They can get rid of a lot of buildings. Take that cash, pay down the debt. There's hundreds of billions of buildings that we don't need. get rid of them and pay down the national debt. That's probably $500 billion. That'd be my guess. Well, that $500 billion is a half a trillion. When you got 35 trillion, that makes it 34 and a half. Just from that one agency getting rid of unused office buildings. That's how you whittle it down. Like 4 or 5 more agencies, that have that much, to contribute in savings. You can pay down the debt. Down to 30 trillion. When you start reducing that debt, then Trump is going to start, open sale of liquid natural gas and, oil. Gasoline, diesel fuel, jet fuel. You can sell those products, to Europe, Russia, China. Make it so these European countries cannot buy oil from Iran, or else you're going to get tariffed on all your goods that you sell in the U.S. That's how he uses the tariff. It's a bargaining chip. So you can buy liquid natural gas or refined petroleum products from the USA, from the mighty USA. If you don't buy from the USA, which you can buy from anyone you want, but we want you to buy from the USA. If you don't buy from the USA, then anything that you make that you're trying to sell in the United States, those products will be banned. You will not be able to sell in the USA unless you pay us a tariff of 12% or whatever the tariff figure is. That's how they use the tariffs. Trump pushes to ramp up foreign investment in the USA. Why not? Have that capital come here. That's less capital we have to use to build the buildings. He's picking apart everything at the same time. We're in an emergency. We need to cut that national debt. And that's how he's doing it. So you got all this money from out of USA people or companies. You can lease properties here, put buildings up, and do your manufacturing here. Majority leader of the Senate knows that the Democrats are trying to delay things, but these nominations are going to happen, or else the Senate is going to be operating 24/7. Friday, it's 10:30 now. I've been on yakking around here for an hour and 30 minutes. It's hard to believe that I can keep talking that long. I made fresh. We were totally out of pasta yesterday. So I'm gonna make up some I have some fresh tomato sauce, which is outstanding. And I have fresh pasta. It's linguine. I had 2 boxes of linguine, and I boiled it up last night at 10:30. And pasta's a marvelous carbohydrate. It's a somewhat, your body likes to digest complex carbohydrates. So it releases sugar into your system more slowly than just, downing a glass of sugar water. But you don't want to do that when you get to be, my age. Because your body becomes less capable of metabolizing great amounts of blood sugar, than your body can do when you're 20. Every 10 years, you should reevaluate your sugar intake and start paring it back, Anyway, the Hegseth vote will be later tonight. So tomorrow morning, you're really going to hear news about how the Democrats were capable of delaying the vote, which the Republicans have the majority. So they basically control what's going on. The 30-hour debate period. That's 1 day and 6 hours. That adds up to 30 hours of continuous debate on the Senate floor. And when that time is up, he's gonna call for a vote. And then people start voting. That's it. And those time periods end later tonight. Like at 11 p.m., something like that. So midnight, you'll find out, if Hegseth was formally approved to take over the Pentagon and all our armed forces all over the planet. And we've got, millions of people involved in this pyramid. So Hegseth would be running one of the largest operations in the world. And he has little experience in dealing with such an assignment. But, anybody that you hire in to something like this has no experience. You just want to pick the brightest and the most capable, and a certain amount of youth involved, which probably means, that you're, can manage 20 or 30 people. But, those positions serve at the pleasure of the president. And if he doesn't do the job that's expected of him, now he's a Princeton and Harvard graduate, so he's got the gray matter. It's a matter if he wants to, and he makes that a priority in, his life. He's got to make that a priority, a serious priority, a top priority. And if he gets distracted by some attractive, platoon leader somewhere, then you run the risk of getting thrown out of that job. And because you can't keep your pants on. See how that works. Trying to keep it clean here for a general audience at 10:30 10:38 in the morning. All right. I'm going to end this conversation, if you don't mind. And I'll leave the music running by itself without my interruption as I start breaking down this broadcast and shutting down some of the equipment. And in which case I'm going to go in the kitchen and make up some linguine with my new tomato sauce, which is outstanding. Yeah. I wish you all could try it. I have the recipe, it's online. It's in the subset of directories. That should be pretty easy to figure out. Let's just click on here. Take a quick gander onto where it's on page. This is 416-1100.com. You can see that up from the top. It opens up to this home page. There's a polo shot I took, which is stunning. The ball's in the air. These two mallets have clicked. There's a name for that, which escapes me. Anyway, we go through these, starting here with unique events. Then you get FAU events, FAU sports, executive portfolio, picture of Marilyn there. Yep, here we go. Stage and concert performances, which I covered. See, cooking and recipes, right in there. There's my spaghetti. There's spaghetti with my tomato sauce. It's my mother's tomato sauce and her mother's tomato sauce. So as of a certain date in this writing, it's a 130-year-old recipe. Touch. All you got to do is touch on that. I'll do it again. There's the back button. Bingo. See, cooking-recipes. Right there in the middle of your picture. Yeah. All you do is you put your clicker on there with a touch screen like an iPad. Just touch that. There we go. And it goes to the, see, cooking recipes. It's right there. Spaghetti sauce, whole peeled plum tomatoes. I use Alessi's whole peeled plum tomatoes. So it doesn't have the tomato skin. Just the tomato, and it's, most of the tomatoes are whole. It's in, a sauce of, tomato and water. There's no seasoning in that sauce that's in the can. But Alessi has marvelous whole peeled plum tomatoes. 28-ounce can. So you can take this recipe. I guess you got grandma's old chicken pot soup. Then you have to touch this spaghetti picture again. There you go. Spaghetti sauce, whole peeled plum tomato. There it is. So you can see here in the top, 6 cans of whole peeled plum tomatoes. 14-ounce can by volume. So I make a half recipe of this. So I use 3 cans instead of 6, 1 can instead of 2, 1.5 cups of white onions. One instead of 1/2 cup, use 1/4 cup. Instead of 1/4 cup, use 1/8 cup. So you can go right down through that list and cut everything by 2. And that'll make, a lot of spaghetti sauce. This makes a lot of spaghetti sauce right there. 6 cans. Yeah. And then you see steps A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Every step is outlined. Begin by opening up 2 packages of Italian sausages. And you separate the sausages, from the skin. You cut them into 3/4 inch length. Actually, you leave the skin on. You saute. So you got these sausages now, they're cut up into 3/4 inch lengths. So you roll them into a ball. You take the skins off. So you roll them into the ball, you make the meatballs. You saute the handmade small meatballs with a 1/4 cup of olive oil, which in this case would be an 1/8 cup of olive oil. Because instead of getting 2 packages of Italian sausages, you get 1 package of Genio. And you can see down here there's most of the ingredients displayed with the pictures, So you can see there's the plum tomatoes, Here's the rustic Italiano seasoning, instant gourmet, rustic Italiano. There's a picture of the seasoning in a little cup. Here's, the sugar. There's organic, garlic, which you're gonna chop up. So there's a picture of the onions and some of the seasoning, which is sauteed together. Then you throw the meatballs. So you cook up the meatballs in a separate pan. Here it is, separate pan. And you save all the juices. So after the meatballs are cooked, this is what they look like. Yeah. And there's the size. Get an idea of the relative size. This is a picture of yours truly with a colander full of those sauteed meatballs. There's the diced onions, sauteing them up. And you add everything into the tomato sauce when it's time to do that. There's a couple of videos mixed in there. So I suggest you read through all these steps. Read through all of this before you start. Now I published this Bon Appetito. Jimmy Wilson published August 30, 2010. Holy crap. That's 14 years ago. I did this recipe and memorialized it on this way. Because a lot of people ask me, how do you make that tomato sauce? Well, you can go right here to Jimmy's website. It's very easy to find because we go backwards through this. It's a back button. Got a back button. There you go. We're right down to this part of the home page. It's kind of hard to miss where the tomato sauce is. And you just touch it and wait, This website is on, one of the fastest servers known to mankind, but it still takes. You got to be patient when you push that button to give it time to load to the next step. So then you got to push the right button here. There you go. Tomato sauce, whole peeled plum tomatoes. Some time in this 14-year period, I came to learn about Alessi having this whole peeled plum tomato, and I finally came around to trying out the Alessi tomatoes, and they're quite good. It's probably in the top shelf, in your public shopping center or wherever you go grocery shopping. And it's about $5 a can, or maybe more, with inflation. So you see a can of tomatoes for $5.38. That's probably Alessi's whole plum tomatoes. Each can is individually serial numbered, which if you turn the cans around, whenever you buy tomatoes, remember this is a tomato sauce. So the tomatoes is everything, You have some seasoning and you have a meatball or not, but it is a tomato sauce. So pick the best tomatoes that money can buy. Back in 1880, when my mother's grandmother started this sauce, 130 years ago so now it's 145 years ago. Wow. At 1880, they passed it to my mother's mother, and then it was passed to my mother in 1935, and then it was given to me in 1963, and now we're here in 2012 or so. So this recipe makes 8 to 10 quarts of finished product. So if you want, you can divide that in half. So then it makes 5 quarts. Yep. That's what I just made. Okay, good morning, folks. You have a great weekend. I think Marilyn does her nails tomorrow. So I'll be on again tomorrow morning. Probably around just around 10 o'clock. 10 to 12. Somewhere in that time there. Starting at 10. Because Marilyn, she'll go off at 9:45, and I'll get ready to go on the air and be on the air at 10. So 10 on Saturdays. See you tomorrow.